So your point on the distinction between racism and discrimination is, don't worry about racism. It's inside people's heads. You can't measure it. There's a strongly subjective, just forget about it. Concentrate only on discrimination. And the best answer to discrimination is to let markets operate, because then people will discover, it will tend to militate against discrimination.
Oh, yes,
when people have skills to offer, they'll be employed. Whatever this notion of racism in people's heads is, don't worry about that. Is that right?
Yeah, what I'm saying essentially is that racists may prefer one race to another, but they prefer themselves to everybody else.
So they'll do what's profitable.
That's right. That's right.
Got it.
And
Okay.
that was even true in South Africa under apartheid, that there were hundreds of construction companies in South Africa that were fined in a government crackdown because they were hiring more blacks and in higher positions than they were allowed to under the apartheid law, because that was where the money was.
All right.
What's going on, everyone? Stocks with Kenin here today, and I got a doozy one for you. All right, so liberal, I don't know what this guy's name is, Ed Krassenstein, if I said his name right. He's a political journalist, apparently. And he asked a question on Twitter that got him ratioed to death, right? He has 4,000 likes and he has 10,000 people replying to him. And he's asking, how do you explain this if this has nothing to do with systemic racism? So he shows a screenshot of Fox News talking about America's racial wealth gap. The net worth of a black family is $17,000. The net worth of a white family is 6 figures. Now, I want to ask a question. What is the component of the average black family? If I ask, because my problem with liberals like Krassenstein here is that I believe they're trying to use data to prove a narrative when data is only used to prove a result. All the data shows is the black family, their attitudes, their behaviors, their decisions as individual families has produced this income or this wealth result. The attitudes and behaviors of white family produce this result. And he's going to use this data to say, how can you explain this without saying systematic racism? You see how obsessed liberals are with race? It's because they want to pull down this narrative, right, to lead you to a certain conclusion. Oh no, it has everything to do with race. It's because of racism. It's generational wealth. When most people who gained their wealth were self-made, right? Generational wealth is lost by the 3rd generation. That means most people do not benefit from generational wealth, even white people. So Kazakhstan, so Ed, the net worth of these families here is likely that they just created that wealth in that generation. In one generation, they created that wealth. While in the same generation, black people hasn't been creating much wealth. And there's another reason for why the net worth of the average, the black family is that low. Have you looked at the stats? 70% of black children are raised by single moms. Last time I checked, single mothers, regardless of race, are some of the poorest individuals in America. This is why a high percentage of them use welfare. So you think a group of people like that will have a lot of wealth to begin with, Ed? If you look at the composition, literally the easiest way I can explain the wealth disparity is which community has more single mothers? The black community does. I think the white family has like 40% single motherhood or whatever. Blacks also have an average lower income. But he wants you to think the genesis of all this is due to racism. Racism experienced in the past, right? And I replied to him, and I haven't tweeted this much in a long time because that's how annoyed I am about this systematic racism narrative. It's a narrative. It's not the truth. It's merely an unfounded theory. They want to blame historical things that happened in the past, right? So he's doing a cop-out because he's still getting ratioed, right? He's doing a cop-out, 2,000 replies, 600 likes. A lot of people don't know what systematic racism actually means, including himself. In fact, I think the term itself is misleading because you don't know how to use what he's talking about. And this is I quote tweeted this on my Twitter, but I'll give you the video version of what I said. What he's trying to describe here using systematic racism is actually culture. It's not about people today being racist. It's about the lack of generational wealth. Okay? But like I just explained, most generational wealth is lost by the third generation. So that means most wealth that's being created today is created within the first generation. Most millionaires today are self-made. Those are the facts. So what generational wealth have to do with the result that black families are getting today? But hey, you know, whatever floats his boat. That originally started because of racism. That didn't start because of racism. One generation removed from slavery, you had ex-slaves dying millionaires. You had Black Wall Street, 1920s, one of the most prosperous times for Black America until the recession, the Great Depression hit. And then blacks started voting for FDR, the New Deal, government subsidies that they got left out of, by the way. Democratic policies. Democratic policies cause an incentive, and that's correct. You create an incentive, and then the attitudes and the behaviors of that social group complies with that incentive because they perceive that they gain more benefit from the Great Society Act, welfare, than actually going out and working, starting businesses, and that changed the culture. When he's talking about systematic racism, he's merely talking about the passing down of generational curses. Generational trauma is what the liberal will try to use as a justification for why there's racial disparities. My butt thinks that your parents' fault. If you grew up in poverty, that's your parents' fault. Because after a certain age, it stopped being your parents' fault, it started being your fault. I think this is what I think. I think generationally, from a generational perspective, Black Americans pass down bad habits and bad strategies to future generations, and this is the result. But this Ed guy doesn't think that deeply about anything. He already has a conclusion in his head, and he's trying to find data to justify his conclusion. You don't work backwards like that. The data leads you to your conclusions, not the other way around. He's trying to let the narrative lead him to the data, and that never works. Being passed down to various elements of life of certain groups today. What gets passed down from parent to child? Genetics, right? Habits, right? Environment, right? There's a video I found. I forgot. If I find it, I'll clip it in here. If not, I'll just continue talking.
Predictor of wealth isn't IQ, gender, race, and this one startled me. It's the zip code you're born in. Kind of fucks with you a little bit. You're like, huh, it's not about race, it's not about gender, it's not even about IQ. It's just where you're born. Which means it's the things that we compare ourselves to. Because your environment sets your standards. If you change the environment, you change your behavior. This is why networks like this are so valuable.
Imagine that. Your location. So if you grew up in a rich neighborhood, regardless of your skin color, you're more likely to be successful. Rich. Because of what? Your location. You're able to network with people of high net worth. Show me your network, I'll show you your net worth. And if the average income in Black America is this, right? And like if the Krassenstein guy here would concede that most people hang around people of the same race, if you're a group that statistically has a lower income than everyone else, what that shows you? It shows your net worth. But no, he don't want to accept that. He don't want to accept that it could be a group's own fault about this. Slavery, racism, that's in the past. It still exists today, but it's not the prevailing view of America anymore. But why continue trying to perpetuate this narrative that it's racism? Racism is the reason why the Black community is behind white communities. And I like how he conveniently leaves out the fact that Asians are making way more money than the white community. But then he's going to use racism as a means of, oh no, but you didn't get held back by racism. Oh, you forgot the Irish? You forgot that Asians got held in encampments because of what happened at Pearl Harbor? You forgot about that? Like this shows a lack of understanding of American history. This is what happens when you don't educate people properly. They come up with false narratives and then they try to pretend that they're actually saying something smart. He used an AI generator, right? It's a never-ending game of Monopoly, where some player starts with a hotel on the Broadway and Park Place. Okay, but how they get there, right? While others are still trying to find their way out of the go to jail corner. But with awareness and action, we can work to create a more equitable and just society for everyone. And I think this is the narrative he's trying to push. He's like, look how bad this is. Let's push for this. No. Because if you don't even know why this result happened, if you don't even know for sure that this result happened, how do you know what you're trying to prescribe will actually fix the problem that you noticed? And this is my problem with liberals. They think they already know the answer and they work backwards. No, you don't know the answer. You're not letting facts or evidence guide you at all. You're just seeing some superficial correlation and you're making a judgment call based on that because it fits a certain worldview you have already about America, the world, whatever. And you want to put in your pre-prescribed solution and then you make it worse. And this has been happening since the Democratic Party started, right? And let's go to Benny Johnson. I agree with Benny Johnson here. White liberals destroying the black family unit through incentivizing fatherlessness and creating permanent welfare dependency begins with LBJ. Name me someone who has a high net worth that's dependent on welfare. You can't. And this is what we're talking about. You incentivize a culture of dependence. Hey, black culture. Oh, you heard of the saying welfare queen? People who hustle using the government entitlement programs to get free rent. Black women on TikTok are bragging about this stuff all the time online. You think people like that will get wealth? Craziness. Action and behavior. Behavior drives outcome, not your race. Can you honestly say that all it comes down to? Yes. Yes, that's all it comes down to. Because I can give myself as an example. Because I tweeted at this guy a lot, but I'm pretty sure he ain't gonna see me because I don't got a blue check. But let's look at a stat here. In 2019, black immigrants had a medium household income of $54,000, right? Comparatively, the U.S. born black household medium income was $42,000 a year. That shouldn't sound right, because black immigrants just got here, but for some reason they have an average higher income than native born black households. My argument is due to the fact that a large percentage of black American families are single mother households, and immigrants tend to stay more together. They tend to be married more than the black immigrants anyway, tend to be more married than the US born ones. That could explain it, because at the end of the day, there's an income discrepancy within the same group of people. But he wants to blame racism for this stuff. Oh, it's because of old racism in the past and the generational. No. What happened is black Americans passed down bad habits, bad decisions, bad strategies. Hey, rely on the Democratic Party. You could be dependent on the Democratic Party. There was a quote from the LBJ. I'm going to have these ninjas voting Democrat for 200 years. He created incentives like, hey, align with us, align with the liberals, align with the Democrats. And you don't have to do anything for you. Let us do a lot of this stuff for you. Let's give you public housing. Let's give you free food stamps. Let's give you this. It creates an incentive for what? To be more productive or to be more lazy? And this is the argument that conservatives have been trying to talk to this guy, but he's not hearing it. He's not hearing it at all. Look, this is a bad observation in my opinion. This guy brought up the Asians, 300K. It's an honest question. What's behind it? What caused this so-called culture? Could it be years of racism? Look at him. He wants a conclusion to be true. That's why he keeps asking. That's why he keeps trying to play dumb. Look at this. This is what someone said. Read Discriminations and Disparities by Thomas Sowell. It mostly has to do with fatherlessness and crime, or what I would say, strategies, actions, behaviors, and decisions that the black community makes, and that's what gets the outcomes. Look at this Ed guy. Look what he says. So what are you saying? That black people causes more crime and have fatherless homes because they're black? No one said that. You're thinking that. You're projecting that. That's why I'm starting to think this guy's a racist himself. Because to be so intent on race means you want it to be so. You want it to be race. Or could it be because of what their ancestors had to endure in the past? No. If you're not one generation away from slavery, I can agree that, you know, you had some concerns, you had some problems, but how many years slavery got abolished? There's no one today, no black person today that's 150 years old. So why are we still holding on to this? Why are we letting people use the fact that their ancestors used to be slaves and someone else's ancestors might have been a slave owner, because only only 5% of white people actually have any ties to slavery, but you want to make it about generational wealth. Oh, you guys think I'm lying? You forget the great migration that happened in the U.S.? Most people here are immigrant born, children of immigrants. Most white people from Europe, most of them Irish. But you want to blame generational wealth. You want to blame racism for why you're there and someone else is. It sounds like an excuse to me, right? And it's not an honest question. I don't think this guy has any real. If it's not, look, he said, I'm asking you to explain it. If it's not race, it's not systemic, then what is it? All it is a result. It's not something putting a thumb on the scale and deciding who gets what. It's the data merely just shows you, hey, this is your results. Just like when you fail a test, this is your results. You picked the wrong answers. That's all the data is saying. The black community is picking all the wrong things, or it's picking things that's getting this result. Therefore, if you want to change the result, then you must change your what? Behavior, your strategies, your decision making. That's all we're trying to say. But for some reason, liberals are so intent to make it about race. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with this Krassenstein guy? You think all the ills and all the negative aspects of all the negative results in the black community is due to racism? Or do you agree with me and you think it's because of the passing down of bad strategies, culture, values that leads them into these negative results? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would like to hear them. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.